I returned to the mansion that ruined my life expecting closure. What I found instead was a woman with my face, a past I was never told, and a key that would unlock everything, including the betrayal buried in my own blood. The morning Paris. Sky was as cold as the voice on the other end of the phone. I don't care what you feel, Celeste. You'll attend the gala tonight. If you refuse, you'll regret it. My fingers trembled as I ended the call. No name had shown on the screen, but I knew exactly who it was. The voice belonged to a man I hadn't seen in for years but could never escape. Laurent Dervaux. I pressed my forehead against the chilled window of my studio apartment. Rain ran down the glass like veins. Beneath me, the city stirred in rhythms I used to love, but this city, like my soul, had changed. 4 years ago, I disappeared. Not from the world but from him. Laurent had been my mentor, my first real client, and the man who ruined everything I had spent my life building. I was 25 when I landed the Dervaux estate, redesigned the project of my dreams. I was 26 when the scandal destroyed me. Embezzlement, fraud, a fabricated affair, public disgrace. The tabloids tore me apart. He had watched me crumble, and he said nothing. But now, suddenly, he wanted me back at his annual gala, the one I used to design down to the color of the napkins. Why? What has changed? I didn't have time to wonder. That night, I stood before the Chateau Dervaux again, just outside Paris. The same moonlight filtered through the branches. The same guards at the iron gates nodded as if I had never left. Inside, elegance dripped from every corner, crystal chandeliers, walls washed in golds and violets, perfumes of the elite mingling in the air. It was a garden of snakes wearing silk, and there he was. Laurent, older, colder, taller than I remembered. Or maybe it was the weight of knowing what I had come back to face. His eyes found mine like twin lighthouses searching for wreckage. You came, he said. I'm not here for you, I said sharply. No, he agreed. You're here for the truth. The words hit harder than expected. He guided me through the throng of socialites and politicians until we reached a private salon lit by candles and secrets. Paintings I had selected 4 years ago still hung untouched. The air tasted of memory. You didn't destroy the accounts, he said suddenly. I froze. I know it now, he continued. It was my brother. I stared at him. You're lying. I'm not. Then why did you stay silent while I lost everything? His jaw clenched, but he didn't speak. Rage rose in me like a tide. You let me be torn apart so your family name wouldn't be dragged through the mud. I didn't know then. I found out 2 months ago, but it was too late. Not for you. His silence was an admission. I turned to leave, but he said something that stopped me cold. Celeste, there's more. It's not just about the money. It was never about the money. I spun around. Then what was it? He reached into his jacket and handed me a small black envelope. Inside was a single key, ornate, old, worn by time. What is this? To the truth, to the place I hid it. That night, I didn't go home. Instead, I drove south to the Loire Valley, guided by a map hand-drawn by a man I no longer trusted. The road turned darker the closer I got to the estate, and when I reached the wrought iron gates of the Dervaux family's forgotten chateau, I realized I wasn't alone. A car sat near the tree line. Lights off, engine silent. I stepped out, key in hand, and walked toward the entrance. Something shifted in the shadows. I gripped my purse tighter, the small pistol inside pressing against my palm. The key fits perfectly into the door's lock. The chateau creaked open like it had been holding its breath for years. Inside was dust, silence, and secrets sealed in velvet and stone. And then I saw her, a woman standing in the hallway, alive, breathing, and identical to me. My heart cracked. She looked up, startled. No, she whispered. You're not supposed to be here. He said he buried you. What? She stepped back into the shadows, and I remembered. I remembered the night I was drugged and left in the Dervaux estate. The night I woke up with blood on my hands and memory missing. The night Laurent said I hallucinated. You were the one in the photo, I said breathlessly. The one that used to frame me. She didn't deny it. She only said 5 words. You shouldn't have come back. And then she ran. I chased her through the empty halls until she vanished into a locked room, the key burned in my hand. I stepped forward, and the door began to open. Inside was not just the truth. It was the reason I had been destroyed. It was the reason someone would now kill to stop me again. You said, the suspense will remain until the very end, with no repetition. The room was darker than the others, lit only by the dim flame of an old chandelier swaying above, its metal chains groaning faintly. I stepped forward, heart hammering as the cold air coiled around my ankles. The woman my mirror was gone. A door in the back stood half open. I followed. The corridor behind it was narrower, its walls closer, suffocating. I moved carefully. Every step echoed louder than it should have, as if the walls themselves were waiting. Then I saw it. A gallery of portraits, unlabeled, covered in dust. Each painting bore a face with familiar bone structure, women who could have been cousins, sisters, or strangers copied from my reflection. One was dated 1863, another 1927, the last 1991. All bore the same face. Mine. No, not mine. Here's. Who was she? I turned toward a display cabinet, shattered long ago. Inside were medical files, half burnt. A name stood out in red ink. Genevieve Viral Dervaux Viral. My family name. But I was certain I had no connection to the Dervaux line, or so I had been told. Beneath the file was a photograph. 2 babies in the arms of a woman whose eyes I had only seen in memories. My mother. I staggered back. Twins. Twins? Genevieve and Celeste. The truth tasted metallic on my tongue. All my life I'd believed I was an only child, raised by my aunt after my parents died in a fire. That was the story. That was what I had been told. But the woman in the photo wasn't my aunt. She was my mother, alive in that moment, long before the fire. And the second baby, the girl I chased through the hallways, wasn't an imposter. She was my sister, the woman who helped frame me. Genevieve, behind me. A voice whispered, "You weren't supposed to see this." I turned sharply. Genevieve stood in the doorway, her arms crossed, face unreadable. "Why?" I asked. She stepped forward. "Because I was given everything, the name, the wealth, the promise of a future. You were left with nothing. And yet, you came back. I didn't choose to be born." "No, but you chose to fight." "I didn't fight. I survived." She moved closer. "Laurent found you first. He was supposed to choose me, always me." I swallowed hard. "So you framed me." "I did what I had to do." "Laurent was going to name you successor to the family empire. You think this was about love or a betrayal?" "This was a legacy." I stepped forward now, fire in my voice. "You ruined me." She didn't flinch. "And yet, you're still standing." Before I could respond, the sound of footsteps echoed from above. Heavy, measured, deliberate. Laurent. He entered the room slowly, trench coat soaked from rain, gun in hand. He looked between us. "I hoped I'd never have to choose." "You already did," I said. His eyes landed on Genevieve. "You set her up. You dragged my brother into this. You even staged the fire at the guest house. But you forgot one thing." "What?" "I kept the recordings." Genevieve froze. He pulled a flash drive from his coat pocket and tossed it to me. "The night she drugged you," he said. "I was in London, but the staff caught everything, and I've been collecting every piece of evidence since." "Why now?" I asked. "Because you finally came back." Genevieve lunged toward him, but I stepped between them. "No, let me." I looked at her. "You wanted a legacy. You wanted power. You stole years of my life and nearly destroyed a man who once believed in you. Do it then, she spat. Take it all, but you'll never be one of them. You're not built for this world. I leaned in closer. Neither are you. And with that, I walked past her. Laurent and I left her behind in the cold room of truth, but the story didn't end there. A week later, the media exploded. Genevieve Dervaux, accused of corporate fraud, conspiracy, and identity manipulation. The tapes were released anonymously. My name, once associated with Disgrace, was cleared in 24 hours. Offers flooded in. My career resurrected itself with the vengeance of a storm. Lawrence stayed by my side during the chaos, but I kept my distance. He came to see me one morning as I redesigned the Dervaux penthouse. The irony wasn't lost on me. You could have told me sooner. I said, I wanted to protect you. You wanted to protect the name. He nodded. Maybe at first, but then I realized the name means nothing without you. I looked at him. I don't need your name. I've rebuilt mine. I know, but I never stopped loving you. Even when I doubted you, even when I disappeared, silence passed between us like a soft storm, and then I answered with a truth I hadn't allowed myself to say until now. I never stopped loving you either. But love without courage is just guilt dressed in a suit. His eyes softened. Then give me the chance to show you I'm not afraid anymore. I didn't say yes, not that day, but I didn't say no. Weeks later, the Loire Valley Chateau was restored under my design, not to its old glory, but into something new, a sanctuary for young women in architecture, a place where voices would never again be silenced in the shadows of men. And in the gallery, I left one portrait. Mine. Not Genevieve's, not an ancestor's, mine. The woman who lost everything, fought her way back, uncovered a buried past, and turned betrayal into a blueprint. No plaque, no frame, just a single phrase etched into the wall beside it. You can survive anything if you know who you are.